am sure by now, many of you around the world will have already watched the most popular Korean drama on Netflix called Startup. Today, we will summarize the show and the learnings. Welcome to another episode of Source Sage Show. Startup is a 16-episode show, set in South Korea's fictional Silicon Valley, called Sandbox, and tells the story of people in the world of startup companies. While this show is not entirely true on life at a startup which we know, it touches key elements of friendship, business relationship, investment, and love. And how the main protagonists start, grow and scale her business towards the end of the show. So, I would say it is still a show worth watching. Seo Dalmi is the main protagonist in the show. As a person with great vitality and experiences in wide range of part-time jobs, including doing really well as sales in a coffee house, she secretly dreams of becoming Korea's Steve Jobs. While she was born to a humble family and does not own much, she's also an adventurer that has a grand plan for herself. Her drive also came from being abandoned by her mother and sister, and then the death of her dad at a young age. She is raised by her grandmom. Nam Do-san is the founder of Samsung Tech. He was once the pride of his family as a math genius, but he is now shy and cannot even look people in the eye. After having gone nowhere in the past 2 years with investments in his company, he is almost ready to give up. It turns out that Seo Dalmi remembers him as her cool first love although he never knew her, and he decides to begin a startup in the hope of turning Seo Dalmi's misunderstanding into a reality. Han Ji-pyong is a team leader at SH Venture Capital. His astonishing investment skills and sharp tongue earn him the nickname, the Gordon Ramsay of investments. As an orphan, Han quickly picked up survival skills, and was grateful to Seo Dalmi's grandmother for her kindness when he had nowhere to go when he was young. Won In-ye is Seo Dalmi's older sister. She is the typical rich and mean character, and has everything society respects, a strong educational background, beautiful appearance, and money. She eventually realizes her background as a second-generation chaebol is a weakness and does everything she can to create success on her own and be acknowledged for her skills. The show starts off with two sisters who have to choose between their soon-to-be divorced parents. Their parents were at odds with each other because their father wanted to start his own business, whereas their mother wanted a stable life and didn't believe in her husband's business. Seo Dalmi chooses her father whereas Won In-ye chooses her mother. Over time, their choices led to very different lives from one another. Their father successfully pitched his business idea, which was a food delivery app like Grab, and while rushing to meet his investors, he was banged by a car while on the zebra crossing. He was injured when he met the investor, and died on a bus after the meeting due to internal injuries. So, Dalmi ended up living with her grandmother who sells corn dogs for a living, pushing her to take up all kinds of part-time jobs to feed themselves. Her grandmother also met Ji-pyong during the same time, and took him in, and strangely speaking, began to request him to write letters to Dalmi to prevent her to be too lonely. Ji-pyong saw Do-san's name on a newspaper and used his name from then on the letters to young Dalmi. Their mother on the other hand, married this tycoon which drastically changed their lives and status in society. In-ye then could no longer relate to Dalmi, so she cut off ties with her younger sister and left for the US to further her studies. They later meet in their 20s at Sandbox, a place for techpreneurs to run their startup with a mentor, an office and staff for 6 months. So the sisters compete for the 5 spots in Sandbox and eventually both of them ended up in Sandbox, with Do-san and his 2 guy friends joining Seo Dalmi, with an ex-lawyer, while In-ye was joined by her former colleagues and 2 software engineers who are twins. Fast forward, Dalmi selected Ji-pyong as the team's mentor, which eventually was revealed at the later part of the show that Ji-pyong was in fact her first pen pal and not Do-san. Samsung began to formulate their startup idea around using image recognition technologies to help people who are blind to recognize and read out objects, while In-je's company used the same technology to help banks recognize forgery. While both are similar technologies, Samsung eventually won the Sandbox competition with a better image recognition technology, and one of the judges, Alex, a Korean investor from San Francisco, decided on an acqui-hire decision to get Doosan and just his two friends to US to work for him for 3 years, while Dalmi was stuck in Korea with Jung, who then returned to her previous profession. Dalmi went on to join her sister at In-Ye Company as the chief operating officer. Fast forward to 3 years later, Doosan and his friends went on vacation on a yacht, while filming a vlog, and they decided one day to go back to Korea for a week to visit their friends and family. While Dalmi is working on her new idea of autonomous car called Tarzan, in a new company invested by In-Ye Company, she did not know that Doosan and his friends were returning to Korea until her company was hit by ransomware, and Doosan again came to her rescue. In order to continue her autonomous vehicle idea with support from In-Ye, Dalmi got to convince Doosan and his friends to join her, and she eventually did it with much persuasion. The Samsung tech team got together working again on Tarzan and eventually managed to get the license required for them to operate. They eventually bid for a large municipal smart city project, and also raised tons of money that enabled them to scale. The story ended with Dalmi and Doosan getting married, and also having an ultra-big office after they have scaled their idea. This video is sponsored by SourceSage, an e-commerce platform where we help you start, grow and scale. We believe that success is a journey, so is SourceSage and not sausage. While we have missed out on many bits of the show, we encourage viewers to watch the full show at Netflix, and don't forget subscribing to our channels and tap the like button for more videos.